Hello and welcome once again to Crazy Comics and Stories. It's me, your charming and delightful old Uncle Rat Bastard. And at the other end of the series of tubes and wires we call the internets is Joe Crazy Writer. How you doing today, Joe?
I'm not unwell, thank you.
Ooh. You don't have a story? You don't have a joke? You don't have a line? You don't have something to lead us in? You don't have anything?
I do got a piece of popcorn in my teeth. Hang on. I got it. There, I'm better.
That's it?
Pretty much.
You mean I'm going to have to carry the show?
Sure, why not?
You have any idea how tired I am?
Why, you've been running in front of cars?
No. We had 3 podcasts last week. We're going to have 4 podcasts this week.
Ooh.
I had to wake up at 3:30 in the morning to interview somebody from England.
Yeah, I was up at 3:30 in the morning, but that was just because I had a very big Diet Coke before I went to bed.
And you've reached that point where you pee all night?
No, I just stayed up.
Or were you just scared that you wouldn't make it to the bathroom? Joe, remember, when you're dreaming about taking a leak, you should probably wake up as fast as you can.
Nah, just let her roll.
Why? Are you friends with Donald Trump?
Please clap.
Oh, Jeb Bush likes it.
Yeah. Good to see Jeb still working.
Hey, we gave Jeb a job.
Just like Gerard, when he was like, I gave Jake a break. Just remember, people, we gave Jeb a job.
The stack of Omnibuy grows larger.
Oh, I was going to ask you, do you have the Stan Lee Just Imagine Omnibuy?
Yes.
Okay, because I saw them on sale at Half Price Books for like $30.
Yeah, that's where I got mine last year on Free Comic Book Day.
Yeah, and they're still there, so if somebody wants one, just give them a call. Half Price is also running a bunch of, you got to sign up for their email thing, because this week they sent me a email where, like, yesterday I got 20% off, whatever I buy. Well, one item, the top item, and then today I could have got 20% off, but I let my daughter use the car, mainly because I figured I was going to be up all night again, and that way I can sleep till 10, I don't have to get up and get her anywhere.
Wait, you're going to be up all night?
And all day. I mean, I'm like Rick.
You're going to be up all night, like with Gilbert Gottfried and Rhonda Shear?
No, more like Ric Flair and your wife.
I'm not married.
Well, that makes it even more fun.
There you go. Here I drop an obscure reference, and it just right by you.
No, I just kind of ignored it.
Uh-huh.
I went for the Ric Flair.
I'm the one who knows self.
I went with the Ric Flair reference. You wanted to go with some obscure reference.
Yeah, do you even know what the reference is to?
Nope, too obscure.
USA's Up All Night. Do you remember that?
Didn't have cable at the time.
It was until like 94, 95.
I was a poor middle-class boy.
What it was, USA on Saturday nights, Friday and Saturday nights, after Night Flight was canceled, which still makes me mad, they would have USA Up All Night, and they would have like trauma movies introduced by either Gilbert Gottfried or Rhonda Shear. And baby, you ain't been depressed till it's Saturday night at 4 in the morning, and Gilbert Gottfried is telling you about the joys of Toxic Avenger 3. That's when you just look in the mirror and go, what have I done with my life?
What have I done with my life?
But the stack of omnibuses grows. I now have Star Wars books 2 and 3. And the Captain America, Golden Age Captain America omnibus. Omnibuses.
Omnibiba. So basically, if you're caught in a New York snowstorm, you're set.
Damn right. Kind of sad that our snowstorm was so wimpy yesterday, although I did get to work from home. But no, we weren't even really snowed in.
Nope.
But I did get caught up on some comics, and I saw that, every week it seems somebody gets mad about something. A bunch of comic fans are mad about a story point, Joe.
Uh-oh.
In the last issue of X versus I, or IVX, or whatever it is, Inhumans versus the X-Men, the White Queen does a heel turn. And people are like, this isn't right. The White Queen would never do that. The White Queen's a villain. Remember?
Well,
she's a villain.
But she's been a good guy. Well, I suppose without Cyclops around, she probably's a little unhinged now.
Yeah. And,
I mean, look at you. You haven't had a date in years. Look how you are.
I've had dates.
Oh, that's right. You had the 55-gallon of industrial lube.
That's right.
You know what? I think I'm going to nominate that for our official mascot.
You just want me to chip in so you've got it at the convention.
I do. I think that would be so much fun. What's that? Why, that's a 55-gallon of lube.
55-gallon industrial-size barrel of lube. And it's water-soluble, so it washes right off.
Right off. No one will know what you did for how long.
But I've had dates.
I'm not talking...
Matter of fact, one of our listeners has said that I should start telling stories of my dates because he was talking about how he went on a date with a woman and then found out that she had a mental illness. Oh. And so he very quietly, kind of, very gently ended the dating. Oh. And all I could think is, wait, you quit dating someone when you find out they're crazy? What sort of mad sorcery is this? You haven't lived till you've had a date end on a Saturday night at the psych ward.
Yeah. Maybe that could be your 20th podcast. Dating stories from Corey the Strode.
By the way, Joe, the having a date end at the emergency psych ward happened more than once. But the White Queen went nuts, and people are mad about it. And all I can think is, when I think of the White Queen, I still think of her as the villain who, was always messing with people's heads to the point where Kitty Pryde still wanted to kill her.
She had to be. I mean, look at the outfit she wore when she was a teacher. Most teachers can't get away with wearing that. There's a few I like, but that's.
Actually, I'm thinking about the teachers I had in high school, and I'm kind of glad none of them wore that. The corset and the thigh highs with the garters, and yeah, we didn't have any teachers I wanted to see wearing that.
Not a single one.
No, because small town.
But that's not what we're here to talk about.
No, I thought we could talk about the White Queen did what in wrestling terms is called a heel turn.
Well, you'll have to do it because I'm not reading it.
Well, no, what I thought is maybe we could talk about some of the heel turns that we liked and some of the heel turns that we didn't like. Or face turns, where, a bad guy becomes a good guy.
Well, we could start with the granddaddy of all that's probably kept tons of stories going for the past couple, 15 years, when Scarlet Witch went totally insane and destroyed reality as we know it. Where Dr. Strange put up a big montage of every version of not the White Queen, but the Scarlet Witch, and said, hey, does this sound like a sane person to you?
And then said, there's no such thing as chaos magic.
Yes. Yeah, I mean, that basically, she destroyed the Avengers for some reason. Vision, Hawkeye, was it Jack of Hearts that blew up?
They both got better. Yep, Jack of Hearts blew up.
He didn't get better.
Well, I don't know. Let me look.
Ant-Man, the 2.
He got better.
Yeah, he did.
Jack of Hearts.
So, but that was, kind of a planned chaos thing because, I mean, that actually went on for some time. It was interesting.
And one of the reasons that they killed Jack of Hearts, I am not joking, I am not making this up, artists hated drawing his costume.
Because I think, didn't George Perez do that?
Actually, George Perez said it was George Freeman who created it.
And that was a Fred Hembeck joke in one of his cartoons, too, where they were looking at it, and so he had them raise, the cartoon plane, so pretty soon they're just talking heads, and the joke, wait a minute! What are you doing? No, I'm just letting you get more space to recite your side of stories. Well, good. That way no one can see this. And all of a sudden, bam, poof, bam. Poor hero got...
Well, nope. Jack of Hearts has come back to life in the Marvel Zombies Supreme miniseries.
Well, good. It's good they got it.
The zero-point energy unexpected reformed itself into a corporeal form as Jack, who returned to life wearing his original suit for unexplained reasons. He was temporarily amnesiac and fainting from the stress of becoming human again. Although initially weakened, Jack quickly regained control of his powers, assessed the situation, destroyed the zombies, and saved everybody's life.
What a comeback!
And he hasn't been
seen
since.
What a comeback!
Yeah. I always thought Jack of Hearts was one of those characters that he was interesting, but no one ever really did anything with him.
Not that interesting.
So for me, I think my favorite heel turn was leading up to Hulk 300, where they did a story where the Hulk had Bruce Banner's brain, and the president gave him a pardon, and everybody loved him because, he was using the Hulk's strength for good.
Another reason why
he was slowly...
I had to sell the, nobody loves the Hulk. Sorry, everybody loved the Hulk.
Well, now he's dead.
Took an arrow in the eye.
But leading up to 300, in the corner, the Marvel back in the 80s had the corner box. In the corner box, it showed Bruce Banner dropping his test tubes and ripping up his costume and becoming the rampaging Hulk man. And in issue 300, he lost his mind, and all the heroes had to fight him, and Doctor Strange sent him away.
Yes.
And he eventually came back, and
he
then
was pissed.
Then Brian Bendis sent him away, and we got Planet Hulk. And Hulk, we got World War Hulk out of that,
which was actually interesting.
So I like the Hulk's heel turns. Joe, was there a heel turn that you really liked?
Well, I guess when Jim Lee took over the X-Men and he turned Magneto back into a heel, that was actually pretty cool.
I am very tired of the heroic Magneto. Because if you look back over the things he's done, the fact that they're like, oh, he's good now. Well, no, he's killed hundreds of thousands of people. Even if you say, oh, well,
He was having a bad hair day. Helmet day, sorry.
It was exaggerated. Well, let's remember, he once got mad at the Russians and used his magnetism to just destroy one of their submarines.
They had it coming. They did send a nuke at him.
That he was able to get rid of. And he didn't get hurt.
But it mussed up his helmet. He gets great helmet.
How about a face turn? A villain that became a good guy. For me, and I was so pissed when they undid it, was Sandman, Marvel's Sandman. Because they actually started it in Marvel Team Up #1.
Oh, yeah.
And it built slowly over years until finally in an issue of 2-in-1, it was an issue where the Thing and the Sandman sat down in a bar and had beers together.
I remember that because it was... he was hurt because of what happened in 2-in-1 Annual, where he fought one of the Elders of the Universe, the
champion.
Basically, Thing was able to hold his own, and Champion basically told him, "Yeah, I'm never going to defeat you," despite the fact that he beat the living wampus out of him. So while Thing was recuperating, the Mad Thinker started some thing going where he calculated that all these villains would attack at one time, and the odds would be that one would definitely get through. And it just so happened, it happened to be a reformed Sandman. Sandman being reformed because earlier on in a Spider-Man story, the Hydro Man and the Sandman ended up colliding together and formed some big-ass monstrosity. Eventually, as they peeled apart, Sandman was like, whoa, I don't ever want that happening again. And that kind of led to his face turn. And then, of course, sure enough, one of the villains got through. Well, it happened to be the Sandman. And he snuck in some beer for our hero to drink. And then, of course, out of the blue, they just decided, okay, I'm a bad guy now.
Well, no, what it was is when Byrne came back to Marvel in the late 90s.
Never a good guy, bad guy.
He had, I think it was the Wizard, do some mental mind stuff on Sandman to turn him evil again. And they've just left him that way. And I hated that because it was very much a, hand-wavy, all this character work we put into him to make him interesting. Yeah, it's all gone now.
Never last.
Joe, what about your favorite face turn?
I would have to say Rogue, which would be interesting. And that one
is a good
sort of stuck, although she did hang out with Magneto for a while until he started going crazy again. Because she was a villain, very well drawn. I believe Michael Golden did the first appearance. And
Michael Golden did the first printed appearance, but we found out that she showed up in an issue of Ms. Marvel that never saw print. And it was reprinted in Marvel Superheroes, which was where they dumped all the inventory.
And the storyline was basically she absorbed way too much of Ms. Marvel and basically stripped her of her personality, which wasn't that big a deal because Ms. Marvel was kind of pissed that, this guy had psychically manipulated her to bear him in some ultra dimension, and the Avengers just kind of, oh, great, yeah, bye, have fun, kids. Have fun storming the castle. And this brings up a point, too, about Marvel. I was describing the difference between the comics Old Man Logan and Logan in the theaters. And the whole thing is I tell them it's just one big soap opera. You can't just say, well, Rogue was a villain, what happened? Or why, like in the Maximum Security book that I talked about last podcast, which gives you a reason to go back and download the last podcast and listen to it, there was a scene.
Because it was really good about us finding our mascot.
Plus, in Maximum Security, they had the deal where in order to defeat the villain, Miss Marvel, who at the time was like turned into binary, don't ask, had to trust Rogue enough to absorb her powers in order to defeat the bad guy, which was a major thing because, considering what she had did before. But you can go read the book.
Now, Joe, let's see how good your trivia is. When did Rogue start to turn face? What was the thing that caused her to start?
The powers
to turn
were out
face?
of control. So at the time, I believe Professor X was messing around with these guys from Team America. Don't ask. Just Google it. Don't ask. Don't make me bring that up. And, okay, you did. Team America was apparently some licensed property where a bunch of yaboos on motorcycle would actually get together and this mysterious rider would show up and, save the day. And it was decided that they were mutants, that they would combine, that the mysterious rider was them getting together with their mutant powers, even though we did see at the end of the however many issue series that the mystery rider was not part of them, he was his own entity. But never mind, don't get in the way of a good mutant story. So while
well, especially since they wanted to steal the Infinity Man from Jack Kirby's New Gods.
Terrible. But these were with motorcycles. So
well, yeah, that makes it different. Yeah, the Forever people had the whiz wagon,
which was good if you ever had to go to the bathroom.
Which
who's got the wheeze?
And Team America had motorcycles. But that's not where the face turn started.
Oh,
Joe.
really? There was something else? I thought she just showed up at the doorstep and then everybody tried to kill her.
Nope. Do you remember the issue where the Brotherhood of Evil Mutants fought Rom?
Probably, because I have it in my collection somewhere.
And Rogue tries to steal Rom's powers by kissing him, and Absed begins a change because Rom is so pure of heart.
Which is why, kiddies, never try to kiss Corey, because he's the opposite of Rom.
I thought I was
anti-Rom.
So I'm no longer a
goody
two shoes.
You could be barefoot for all I know.
So I've done a heel turn.
More a shoe turn, I would call it.
But that's also why it's never going to be referred to in any Marvel comic ever again. Because how did Rogue start to become a good guy? Well, she kissed this character that's owned by
now being
Hasbro.
By IDW.
That always, now that we're years removed and we see how licensed properties move in and out, because in the 70s, everything tied in with Conan. Marvel's history, Conan was Marvel's prehistory. And when they would do the history of the Marvel Universe, they would actually talk about the Hyborian Age and King Kull, and some of the villains from the Robert E. Howard stuff would show up in other Marvel comics. I'm looking at you, Kulan Goth. But then they lost it. It was like, oh, crap. Guess we can't ever refer to these certain things. But Rom was very tied in with the Marvel Universe, and Marvel has been sent a cease and desist order. No, Marvel has sent a cease and desist order to IDW saying that they can't use the Dire Wraiths. Dire Wraiths are owned by Marvel.
Which is interesting because originally the Dire Wraiths were a character that was supposed to be fleshed out in a toy line, which is why for the first dozen issues or so, well, actually quite a long time, all they were these shadowy, cloudy type things. And then when it became apparent the ROM toy was DOA, they came with these big red sorcery wraiths that had tentacles and would suck your brain out. And it was an interesting storyline because they came up with the idea that the science wraiths were the ones that kept the shadowy thing because they didn't want to show their true forms. And, well, they lost the Civil War, got the brain sucked out for lunch, and then these much more terrifying wraiths came around.
And they were an offshoot of the Skrulls.
First time Skrulls showed up and were good guys.
Bet you forgot that. Oh. So Marvel's kind of sent a cease and desist order, and they actually recently used the Dire Wraiths in Hickman's Fantastic Four.
Yeah, they hung around and fought for a while.
And that's the thing about using the Micronauts. Bug owned by Marvel. The other Micronauts owned by Mego. Although I guess they're owned by Hasbro now, right?
Yeah.
Because they're part of that Hasbro
like
universe
Kenner,
thing.
And I think Hasbro bought Kenner.
Okay. But Bug was still a Marvel character and used to be in the Guardians
Princess
of the Galaxy.
Marionette and Commander Rand, who they can't use the what was the time? I don't know if they call them time travel. Yeah, so
time
that
traveler.
was actually a toy.
Time traveler.
Those three characters we talked about earlier, Bug, Princess Mary, and Commander Rand, they were original characters. So they actually showed up.
Although Commander Rand eventually became time traveler.
His secret identity, for lack of better, was not tied into the toy line. But
I wonder if because Guardians got option for a movie, they kind of went, well, maybe we shouldn't use Bug anymore. That could get messy. But now when Marvel does a licensed series, they don't tie him in anymore, which is probably a smart idea.
Yeah.
Although I doubt they'll ever lose the license for
which really
Star
throws
Wars.
you off when you are looking at early Transformer reprints and they actually Spider-Man shows up. Or you're reading and why you would, I don't know, the Secret Wars 2 omnibus, and they refer to this character, and I can't even remember her name, but she's like, I was off fighting these giant robots. Well, she appeared in Transformers. So they had this, when Transformers came around, they were trying to tie it in, and then somebody made the decision, you know what, unlike Micronauts, unlike Shogun Warriors, unlike Godzilla, unlike ROM, we're not going to tie these in anymore.
Which was probably smart. Although, now I'm not a Transformers person.
Yeah, try.
What does IDW do when they get to, like, hey, Spider-Man's in this issue, the Transformers?
I would have to look at the reprints of them. I don't know if they did reprint them. It might be one of those things where they can reprint everything but that. Or maybe...
But wasn't that the last issue of the four? Because I know it started as a miniseries, and then went,
Yep.
no, now it's a regular series. But I think the fourth issue, which tied everything up, had Spider-Man in it. So it's like, how's the story end? You'll never know.
Although they will come to the end where when you realize it wasn't going to be a miniseries is when, you know, the Shogun character showed up and, you know, he's a gigantic space gun and he blew everybody apart. So you're like, ooh, something's going on.
Well, that's why the Marvel Godzilla series could only be reprinted by Marvel, because it was Dum Dum Dugan and the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. versus Godzilla. And the Fantastic Four were in it, and the Avengers were in it. And
it was a party.
DC really never did that with the licensed products. I don't remember any of their licensed books crossing over. They
really.
Like Atari Force.
You know, there are things like when they had the license for like the Jerry Lewis comic, they had Jerry Lewis meets Flash, Wonder Woman, Superman, Batman. I think that was it. But that was in their own things. And you know, I often wonder. We've talked about this in the past. Just all the different books. And we might get a podcast out of this, or maybe we did, that cannot be reprinted because you know. The Marvel 2-in-1s were Thing and Doc Savage.
Savage.
Spider-Man with not ready for primetime players. You know, there's a few other ones. Like every so often I run across like a Solar Man, which was like a create your own property. I think like they did 2 issues and number 2 had Spider-Man in it. Or NFL Super Pro, which had Spider-Man in the first issue. But, you know...
Yeah, somebody recently asked Tom Brevoort, you ever going to be able to reprint NFL Super Pro? And he's like, well, we own half of it, and the NFL owns half of it, and I don't think they're talking to us anymore. Or Nightcat. I don't think Nightcat's going to
Or The Illusionary, which was, I think, a Nelson comic. Their line.
Oh, yeah. I remember when that came out. And for some reason, Shinders went, oh, it's Marvel #1. They ordered a ton of it. And when they came in the shop, the VP in charge of comics came in, and I said, why did you order 50 of these? Well, it's a Marvel #1. Did you even read the solicitation?
Yes, man.
No. This is a licensed
religious comic.
licensed Christian comic. And he started flipping through it, and he's like, yeah, this isn't going to sell. Nothing wrong with Christian stuff. It's just the people who are picking up a Marvel Superbook aren't going to want to have a hero who's spouting Bible verses every couple of pages. Matter of fact, Marvel back in, 1976, Jesus is not allowed in their comic.
Yeah, they aborted a fairly decent run that Tony Isabel was writing on Ghost Rider, and then they just are, you know, by doing that, they really just kind of... Oh, the ironic thing was...
Yeah, this character who we've been building up as Jesus...
it was Satan.
No,
Yep.
he's Satan.
Satan?
Every time I go back and read that story now, it's so painfully obvious that it's just, they get to the, and they have built it up and built it up and built it up that, this is going to be, Ghost Rider has freed himself from the bonds of Satan, and nope, it's Satan. And then, no more Satan in the comic.
Wrote him out.
It becomes, Shooter did not understand Ghost Rider. Because the first few issues, it's written as, remember what it was, Johnny Blaze would pretend to be demonic to scare his opponents. Well, Jim Shooter must not have read it too close because it was like, he's being taken over by a demon when he becomes a Ghost Rider and he's evil and out of control. It's, no, that's not what it was, but okay, I guess that's how it is now. Whatever, dude. Satan's power versus the orb. What's the orb's power? Well, he's got a helmet that looks like an eyeball.
Until recently, though. Now he's more annoying.
Yeah, but for the longest time, what's his power? Well, he's got a helmet that looks like an eyeball, so he's really just kind of creepy looking. Or, Ghost Rider didn't have the best villains. The Water Wizard, what can he do? He controls water. Oh, so he can do that? No, he can just basically make waves. He could have a swimming pool.
Which I think they stole for Super Friends later. Form of a giant sponge.
Not every Marvel villain is great.
No.
Not as bad as some of DC's goopy villains like Tim.
But he died in the Crisis. Who was that guy waving his fingers at him?
Well, yeah.
What a way to die.
What's his power? Well, he has an eyeball.
Bitch of a time when he picks his nose. Oh. Yes, I went there.
Oh, I could go somewhere else.
Yeah, but you would need that 55-gallon drum of lube.
Actually, I think one of Marvel's first face turns was Hawkeye.
Oh, from MASH, yeah.
Yeah, Hawkeye was introduced as a villain in Iron Man. And then slowly he became a hero because he was under the evil spell of the Black Widow.
Yes, and if you've seen Scarlett Johansson, you know she's evil.
Well, actually, I saw her on Saturday Night Live, and whatever she told me to do, I'd do.
I would, in a heartbeat.
Steal the plans from Tony Stark, hell yeah.
In a heartbeat.
And I think the first heel turn would have to be the Sub-Mariner, who in the 40s and 50s was a hero, but when the Fantastic Four brought him back, he was a stone-cold villain.
You know, I was rereading in the New Avengers, the Hickman thing, and they have this, they reprint the Illuminati series. The idea with the Illuminati being is that, tell me if I got these wrong, it's Charles Xavier, Reed Richards, Black Panther, Tony Stark, Black Bolt, and Sub-Mariner form this Illuminati group, and all the way back.
Right after the Kree Skrull War.
Yeah, they went in and they told them, you guys don't mess with us anymore, or, we're going to come get you. And that actually had the opposite effect, where they said, you know what, they're coming to get us, we better get them first, which was like the origin of Secret Invasion. But There's a scene where they're yelling at, the Sub-Mariner basically is taking the high road, saying, you guys are making these decisions, you don't have the authority, people are going to die, and nobody came up to him, wait a minute, aren't you the MF that tried to drown New York City in 1938? Who in hell...
And again in 1965?
Who the hell are you to be talking anything? They did it right in the Superior Spider-Man, and I believe Dan Slott is the one where when Doc Octopus in Spider-Man Peter Parker's body killed a character who basically, as soon as he gets loose, just kills. And right or wrong, Parker didn't dispose of him, and then when he got loose, he killed again. And Doc Octopus, being the superior Spider-Man, just said, you know what, you're dead. And of course did it on TV. So all the Avengers together are, what are we going to do about this? Spider-Man killed, and Wolverine's like, what are you talking about? We've all killed. And he's looking
Yes.
at Thor, he's looking at Captain America, he's looking at Scarlet Witch. You know, he says if he needed, you know, and look what he did. He did it to a really unredeemable bad guy. I said if he keeps doing it, maybe we better do something about it. But, you know, we just can't go after him just for this one time. And that's a point that, you know, yeah, Cap may not want to kill now, but he had no problem wasting a few Nazis.
And it's one of the things that I think some writers have trouble with. Mark Grunwald actually tried to make the argument that, no, Captain America didn't kill anybody in World War II. Thank goodness Ed Brubaker, when he took over Captain America, was like, well, that's the dumbest thing I've ever heard. But part of it was this worry about the comics code, where heroes can't do evil acts. And I know when Shooter was in charge, if a character did something that broke the law, they had to be punished.
Yes.
Which is why the Punisher went to jail, why Jean Grey had to go on trial and die.
I thought it was because he hated redheads.
Well, he didn't say that when he was drunk.
There might have been a redhead in Jim's past that really burnt his bridges, and Jim just took it out. I mean, he was here a number of years ago at the MSP Comic-Con.
I know. He was drunk and he didn't say anything.
He could have just... Jim, you could have told us then. We would accept it. We're a forgiving lot. Oh, hell no. We would have mocked you mercilessly. But we would have forgiven you. That's the point. The hottest redhead in comics, and she must die.
No, she was not the hottest redhead in comics.
Well, yeah, but Cheryl Blossom wasn't a Marvel character.
No.
What?
Mary Jane Watson.
I stand corrected.
Did we ever see Jean Grey in go-go boots and a miniskirt? No. And come on. You know that Mary Jane, if she's wearing go-go boots and a miniskirt, you know she's a party girl.
Oh, yeah.
What was it? There was one writer at Marvel who wrote Spider-Man for a while who just hated her. And he said, Mary Jane, Gwen Stacy was the girl you'd bring home to mom. Mary Jane is the girl you frequent when decent company is unavailable.
Oh. He says that like it's a bad thing. Face it.
And yet, Mary Jane's the one he married.
You hit the jackpot.
They toned Mary Jane down very much during the 90s and everything, but you go back and read what Stan... You read between the lines. Mm-hmm. She was a player. Now, we've been
picking on Marvel a lot. Have you seen any characters in DC that we could say have, switched sides, gone from, good guy, bad guy, good guy?
They tried it with the Red Tornado during Crisis. And I think it was just because because the Vision was so popular, Red Tornado just kind of came off as a second-rate Vision. So they turned him into an air elemental and had him turn evil. And no one cared.
No one cared. Never last.
Could you call Terra in the New Teen Titans, could you call that a heel turn?
Well, she was a plant. So she was bad to begin with. They just played it out masterfully.
Well, Raven, when she started, was kind of a villain. You could probably call that a face turn because she got the Titans together in order for them to be sacrificed to Trigon.
And it just goes to show you can't trust a brunette.
Joe, you're pretty much leaving blondes and bald women.
Oh, I like bald women. Have you remembered that Dalton on Star Trek? Hot.
I think the most famous face turn at DC, though, has to be Catwoman.
Yeah.
Because Catwoman on Earth 2 was a villain and did a face turn and married Batman. And they had a kid who's still around, the Huntress. Kinda.
Sort of.
In a way.
Yeah.
Sorta.
Maybe.
I don't
It's around somewhere.
And even in the regular DC universe, Catwoman's kind of a good guy.
Gal.
I don't know. Was she ever really a villain in the post-crisis universe, though?
She was a thief. I remember. Man, that's a pre-crisis book, because I know there was one where one of the books I read as a kid, and again, a podcast pass, I blabbed about it because I found it in a cheap box, where there was a train wreck, and as she was wandering away, she was thinking, I mean to go straight, I want to do this, and then because she ran into one of her old henchmen who orchestrated the train crash or something, and she went off with him. So, they've always kind of played her kind of loose, I guess. Never quite sure. If she has a chance to steal something, that's good. She's going to,
Yeah, and she was always kind of, even on the TV show, she was a stereotypical villain who was in love with Batman and would have switched sides, maybe. Although that one episode where Batman has fallen for her and they're talking about a future together, and he's, well, what about Robin? Oh, we kill him.
Yep. I prefer to think of when, like, Adam West was being hauled up by Robin and he's holding Julie Newmar, Catwoman. Oh, sorry, just Julie Newmar as Catwoman. And so, Batman, is there any room for love in your life? Sorry, only fighting crime is.
Well, and the biggest heel turn at DC was Hal Jordan, of course.
Yeah, but he got better. They explained it.
Well, yeah. After he killed everybody.
They got better.
Yeah.
We'll get to that when we get to freaking geeking. But what do you think of that particular storyline? I mean, is it okay, fine, I accept it? Because they actually went further with it. It's just kind of like, really?
Hal Jordan, when they made Hal Jordan turn heel, I didn't accept it because it was such a poorly planned story. The gimmick was that because of the destruction of Coast City, he snapped. Except there were stories after Coast City was destroyed where he's, mourning and cleaning things up and helping the Flash and helping Superman and still in the Justice League. And then it almost felt like, okay, it's a couple months later, he turns evil. And he kills everybody. And at the time, people said, because then they would tease that he was going to come back. Final Night was a big tease on that. 0 Hour, remember, he was going to fix everything, including himself. And then at the end, it was, fooled you. And I think people kind of got tired of that. And the editors at DC said, well, it would be a cheap cop-out if there was some villain controlling him. So how did they have Hal Jordan turn good again? There was some villain controlling him called
I've never heard about it. Well, you got to admit, was it Jeff Jones writing it?
Yes.
Kind of redeemed the whole storyline, because then he started bringing, that whole run that he wrote of Green Lantern was just spectacular.
Yes.
So he took, how do you say, he took chicken shit and made chicken salad.
Chicken salad. And I think my favorite heel turn is one that most people don't quite grasp. Joe, you've read The Final Crisis, right?
Yes.
Mandrak, the Dark Monitor, was a ultra-vampire who wanted to feed on the lifeblood of existence itself until it had been bled dry. But if you read it, and you follow along, and you pay attention to all the clues Morrison drops, that was the Monitor from the original Crisis.
Ooh.
He, basically, because of all of the events in our universe, and how the Crisis ended up, he became this entity that needed to devour life in order to continue existing. And especially with the Battle of the New Gods causing such chaos in the multiverse, he kind of did a huge heel turn. So I think that was a pretty big heel turn in my mind.
Interesting. I'll have to reread that.
Some of their heel turns have been terrible, like Mary Marvel turning evil.
Yeah, well, you know, a hot chick in a black outfit. How could this go wrong?
Except, yeah, you know, she's a little Miss Goody Two-Shoes, and now she's evil.
Evil! I just want some attention.
DC doesn't really do it as well as Marvel, because Marvel, especially in the 60s, if a villain got popular enough, they'd switch him over. You know, Black Widow became a hero. Spider-Man used to do that all the time. My first Spider-Man story I read was about the Prowler, who, you know, because his inventions were stolen and he was stuck being a window washer, he was just trying to steal his inventions back, but accidentally fell into a life of crime. Yeah, he kind of tripped and fell. I don't know.
Sorry, that hop looks like it hurts.
But I can't think of any character other than Catwoman. Well, and if you read the origin of the original Plastic Man.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Because he was a criminal who then got powers and became a good guy.
So DC, get on the ball here.
And all of his being
you know, and there's always storylines where, like, the villain becomes a good guy. Like, even a few times, what was his name? The Teen Titan nemesis. Deathstroke? Yes.
Deathstroke.
You know, he would kind of become a good guy, and then there was somebody who... Lady Sylvia was her name? You know, in the question, she wasn't quite sure.
Lady Shiva. Lady
you.
Shiva.
Yeah. So there was always things like that. And of course, you never know what's going to happen, because Deadpool showed up as a villain, and now he is so ultra popular. So you never...
Although he still does horrible things.
Yeah, but it's funny when he does it.
I think the only other villain I could think of at DC that reformed was the Pied Piper in Flash. But I don't even know if they use that anymore, because it was one of those stories Mark Waid did over time during his run, where the Pied Piper, the rogues were getting more and more violent, and he was like, dudes, I just want to rob banks. I don't want to be involved in all this violence and horribleness. I just want to rob banks. And you know what? Flash has given me a chance. I don't need to rob banks anymore. So, yeah.
What?
Yeah, the hell with
Is
it.
he?
Well, and the Pied Piper, let's remember, even when he did commit crimes, he gave his money away to, like, orphanages and widows and stuff like that. He didn't steal for himself. He was kind of a Robin Hood.
Without the hood.
Well, he wore a mask and a goofy hat.
Well, yeah, but the goofy hat. You had me at goofy hat.
Well, there aren't a lot of characters with goofy hats.
We need more goofy hats. We've just figured out the problem with the comic industry. We need more goofy hats.
And I'm not just talking about the tiny derby hat that Mr. Mxyzptlk wears.
I thought
no, we want more goofy hats. Mxyzptlk.
It sounds like some type of disease they advertise for during, the nightly news.
You've been watching a lot of shows aimed at older people.
Yes.
That's one of my problems. It's like, oh, cool, I want to watch Antenna TV or Me TV. But if I watch them for too long, I feel like I'm 90, because it's like, are you having trouble getting up the stairs? Here's a chair that you can sit in that will bring you up the stairs. It's like, I'm not that old yet. I just want to watch Columbo.
Now for the young...
Do you need new catheters?
For the younger kids, we'll have to explain now what Columbo is. Remember the grandpa in Princess Bride?
There.
He had his own show.
Joe?
Yes.
Joe? Can I make you feel old?
I know you can.
This summer, Turner Classic Movies will be showing Princess Bride in theaters for the 30th anniversary. Don't feel bad. Casablanca's having its 75th anniversary.
I wasn't alive for that. If you're in black and white.
Yeah, see? There. Now you know how I feel when I turn on Turner Classic Movies. Like, I paid money to go to a theater and watch that. By the way, speaking of Turner Classic Movies, they showed a true classic over the weekend. A movie that is renowned and beloved by a certain group of people.
What?
Hard Ticket to Hawaii. An Andy Serkis film. Sirkis. Do you know about the Hard Ticket to Hawaii and the Andy Serkis films?
I do not.
Hold on. I'm going to go get a DVD collection.
Ooh.
So, Joe, entertain the
All right. Folks, we only got a few shows left for your Ask the Strodes. And I'm not getting a lot of good questions. I got like about half a dozen, and I'd like to get at least a dozen more. So if you have something, you've heard us for the last 1 hour and 31 seconds. We're a vast...
I need to make a correction, Joe.
Uh-oh, what's that?
I said Andy Serkis. Andy Serkis actually was the gentleman who did the motion capture for Gollum and King Kong and others. This is Andy Sedaris.
Aha.
And I hold in my hand a 12-movie set called Girls, Guns, and G-Strings. This is all 12 movies by Andy Sedaris, who basically made action movies with Playboy Playmates. And the movies are an excuse for a lot of gunplay and action and women taking their clothes off.
Oh, my.
So, Hard Ticket to Hawaii was shown on Turner Classic Movies. Shall I read the synopsis of the film?
Please do.
It's starring Ron Moss, who I've never heard of, Donna Spear, who was a playmate, and Hope Marie Carlton, who was an amazing looking playmate. Yow. A Hawaiian drug kingpin plans to flood the islands with narcotics, all financed by illegal diamond shipments to his private retreat. When his henchmen kill 2 DEA agents who were trying to stop the drug lord, the agency sends 2 of its best agents, Donna Spear and Hope Marie Carlton, to break up the drug ring and take out the leader. The movie actually, one of my favorite scenes is when the 2 agents decide they need to sit down and think about how they're going to infiltrate the drug lord, and the best way for them to think about this was to take off all their clothes and get in a jacuzzi.
Wow, that works for me.
Now, these movies at video stores rented like you can't believe to teenage boys. So I'm wondering if, when it was shown on Turner Classic Movies during the nude scenes, if the movie itself would pause to give you that feeling of when you were watching it on a VHS tape, because you could always tell where the nude scenes were, because the person would bring them back, the tape broke. Oh, you had it on pause for like 15 minutes, huh?
Now, really, you got to learn to do it quicker.
But, yep, 12 of these movies, man, from 1989 to 1994. No, wait, there's one from 96. 98, wow, we kept doing them till 98. But it was basically an excuse to hire playmates and make cheap action films that, you know, would have copious amounts of nudity. These are classics now, Joe. These are classics.
Absolute classics.
So next time you're watching Turner Classic Movies, just, okay, they're showing Casablanca. They're showing The Magnificent Ambersons. They're showing Mr. Deeds Goes to Town. They're showing Arsenic and Old Lace. They're showing Hard Ticket to Hawaii.
Now we're talking.
You know who doesn't watch movies with Donna Spear and Hope Marie Carlton?
Oh, I don't even know if I want to know.
These guys, our sponsors. That's right, here at the Solitaire Rose Radio Network, we have ads, and our first sponsor is me. That's right, your charming and delightful old Uncle Rat Bastard. I have my first book out with Dangerous Dan Moore. It's the first 100 strips of our online web strip, Worldwide News, the story of the lowest-rated cable news network. And you can get yourself a copy with commentary, with all sorts of extras, with signatures and everything. Just email Dan over at lordshadowflame@gmail.com. Our top sponsor, who's been with us since day one, is DreamHost. DreamHost.com. You need yourself a website, and DreamHost.com is the #1 web host in the whole known universe. Just head over to DreamHost.com, put in the code KRAYZ, KRAYZ, get $20 off your first year. How can you beat that? Our other sponsor is Graze, GRAZE.com. Healthy snacks for a healthy lifestyle. Just head over to Graze, put in the code CORYS3R5P. Your first and fifth box are free. You can get them weekly. You can get them bi-weekly. You can get them monthly. You just order a whole bunch of them. It's great stuff to keep you away from the vending machine at work. Now, if you would like to leave a comment for any of the podcasts that we do, we'd love those. Go ahead and email us at solitairerosenetwork@gmail.com, or you can call 952-856-0519. Operators are standing by. Okay, it's just a place that will record your calls, but we'll play them on the air. We'll answer your questions. We love getting feedback. Tell us what you think. Ask a question. Suggest a topic. Be a guest. Send us your stuff. SolitaireRoseNetwork@gmail.com. If you would like to advertise on any of the Solitaire Rose radio shows, you can. Just email us at SolitaireRoseNetwork@gmail.com. Subject advertising. Thanks.
Wacky.
Yeah, well, you know, they've got serious stuff to do. They've got serious wares that you need to be spending your money on. Speaking of spending your money, Joe, what's going on the eBays?
Well, oftentimes I like to talk about things that I sell or read, but I'd like to today talk about some things that I don't think I will be able to sell on eBay.
Uh-oh.
Yep. And we're gonna do it with my favorite part of the show, Ask the Strode.
Ooh.
Folks, I know the NSA has cut me off in the mid-rant, but if you got a question, Corey, put fingers in your ear for a minute.
Why don't I just go put these DVDs back on the shelf?
I don't know. Last time I did it, the recording cut off.
Okay, fine. I'll go put them next to the DVD player because I might be watching them later after the show.
That'll work. But if you've got questions, go away. For Ask the Strode, just email me because our 300th episode's coming up quick, and I got a handful of response. I'd like about a dozen more, and Corey's already got some secret things and some special guests, and I just want to interrupt him. And they don't have to be comic book questions, although he is a scary font of comic book knowledge. If you got some personal questions, hey, throw them in. Hey, that's an idea. Maybe I'll contact his mom. Anyways, crazycomics@gmail.com. Also, this would probably be a good time to mention that the MSP Comic-Con 2017 is coming up May 20th and 21st at the Minnesota State Fair Grandstand. As you know, Corey will not go. We're working on it, folks. But
I'm not allowed since the incident with the 55-gallon tub of lube.
Yeah, there is that. They're still trying to, let's just leave it at that. But as you know, my daughter and I will be running the MCBA charity sale. And if you might have seen us at past MCBA conventions, or maybe the word charity gets your heart all aflutter. I know it does mine. But we are looking for donations for the MSP Comic-Con 2017 charity sale. And, I know you've got some old comics, books, movie, toys, games, or memorabilia hanging around the house. You want to donate it to a good cause? 100% tax deductible, because 100% of the proceeds we've raised, and Corey and I have raised in the past, go directly to the charities we're working with. This year, it's the Comic Book Legal Defense Fund, Minnesota Lupus Foundation, and Bikers Against Abuse. Heck, maybe you got a pressure cooker, umbrella hat, or candy corn candles that are just taking up space. We want it all. Go ahead, get in contact with me through the show's email. Call me direct, crazycomics@gmail.com, and we'll figure out a way to get it to us and spread the word, because we want to kind of have some fun with this charity booth. Corey will be there in spirit, especially if somebody donates some candy corn candles.
Or a 55-gallon barrel of lube.
Yes, we are looking for that.
It's only $1,500, people.
Come on, you got that probably in your couch. You buy that in McDonald's French fries at least once a week.
If I had that kind of money, could you imagine how many damn omnibuses I'd have? All of them.
Speaking of 55-gallon drum of lube, Corey, time for Ask the Strode.
No, I did not order the 55-gallon drum of lube.
Corey, tell me about a fistful of rebuttals.
I have never heard of that, and that upsets me because Fistful of Dollars is one of my favorite movies of all time.
Because A Fistful of Rebuttals is a lavishly illustrated 48-page Western parody featuring high drama, low comedy, and 2 punchlines. It was written by Ron Young and Jeff LeBlanc out of Homemade Graphics in 1996. It was a one-shot. 1996 means I probably bought it while I had Hot Comics. And it is funny. It sells for $1 on the eBays, so I got a copy of it, and I've got other things to put on eBays. Any of these next couple books I mentioned, if any of you are interested in, just drop Corey a line, and I'll just send it to you out of my vast accumulation of crap. But
I may be buying that.
Well, you want me to read you the one of the 2 punchlines?
Sure.
All right. Let's move on to item 2 on the agenda: the construction of the new pass. As many of you know, a lot of people have complained about being cut off at the old one.
Please clap.
Hey, there's Jeb.
Maybe I won't be.
No, it's actually it's good. It's funny. I mean, it's got one of the best fight scenes ever. On a more serious note, Corey, have you ever heard of? Oops, hang on a second. It disappeared on me. In Her Darkest Hour.
It rings a bell, but I don't remember where from.
Well, this came from Image in Jim Valentino's Shadowhawk line in 2007.
Yes, when he was doing all the personal stuff.
Yes, this was Fernanda Chiella, I believe is how you say the name. And it is a very dark, almost, it's one of those stories you read open to interpretation as to what's going on. Is the protagonist trying to save his friend? Is the friend being held? Is the person holding him? Is supernatural entity? Whatever. Very dark story. Very well written. Drawn very well. And again, it's $1 on the eBays. I got a copy here. Like I said, I've got other things to put on the eBays. Corey, have you ever heard of the writer's block?
Again, it rings a bell. Was that another... No. Gosh, you were stumping me all the time today.
And this is what's happening in these is these are easier ones because these are all one-shot black and whites that came out in the 2000s.
Oh, okay.
This one was from Beyond Comics, and it's David Miller. His concept's simple. He gave 6 pages of art to 3 well-known comic creators, Jim Shooter, Mike Barron, and Roy Thomas, and let them write a story to it. And then there's an interview with each person so they can talk about their thinking process. It sounds good on paper, but it's not really the Marvel method. And even I'm pretty sure if I sat down and tried to reread this, it might be kind of a fun, little more interesting. But I couldn't get into it. It was only one shot, so he never revisited it. But again, if it's only $1 in the eBays, and if I don't give it to somebody who emails me, it'll be at FallCon when I do my last blowout. Okay, let's go to another one. Corey, have you ever heard of G-Man?
Why, yes, that was Chris Iliopoulos.
Yep. No. Chris Giarusso.
Oh, okay, yeah, but it was an Image book, very cartoony.
Yes, and he was a backup. He did do mini Marvels for Marvel Comics. And Eric Larson had him do backups in Savage Dragon. It's kind of in a Calvin Hobbes type style. Very funny. And this one was his first one-shot. Came out in Image 2004. Square-bound format. Fun to read, especially if you like the superhero format. And the last one is something that we were talking about earlier. I'm not even going to ask Corey because he probably has heard it. This is Green Lantern, Sinestro Corps, Secret Files, and Origins from 2008.
Yes. Yep. That was back when DC would do these special one-shots that were supposed to take the place of Secret Origins, but they really just they would have a new story and then a bunch of Who's Who type pages.
And this one is a blast because they cover every Green Lantern and Sinestro Corps member to date. They give what issue they're in. They give whether or not they passed away. There's a couple stories in there that kind of flesh out some of the other characters. This was, I believe, before Blackest Night, Brightest Day. And really, there's only the Sinestro Corps and the they talk a little bit about whoever's got the purple ring, the Star Sapphires. But this is before the whole band of rings came about. Matter of fact, it's even before, like I said, what did they call that crossover with the Black Lantern?
That was Darkest Night.
Yes. And
Blackest Night.
Blackest Night.
Blackest Night.
It's a type
Which
of
I
book.
should reread again.
Yeah. And this book is a lot of fun because it covers all the different Green Lanterns, ones we know, ones that we've seen. There's one in here, and I probably won't find him. Oh, hey, there he is. Gretty, Sector 2828. And he appeared in Green Lantern Volume 2, 164. And he's part of a traveling caravan of space gypsies and refuses to stay in one place, roaming from sector to sector at the whim of his caravan, which, of course, is against the rules and much to annoyance of the Green Man, who's his partner in Sector 2828. And, as you're reading through this, they even have such and such character disappeared and we don't know what's happened yet. And, it's just I just love stories like that because it's almost the pure geekiness. I'm not reading comic books. I'm reading about comic characters.
You're reading news stories.
These books will never go on eBay because, like I said, you can go on eBay and find them for $1 a piece or email me and I'll send it to you. Email again, crazycomics@gmail.com. And if you do buy something from me off my eBays, and of course I'm adding stuff every day, send me a quick note, and I will drop you I'll do something. I'll put something in the package for you. Could be a graphic novel. Could be one of these square-bound books that I've got. But it'll make it worthwhile. And generally, what I do is, if you bought a DC from me, I'll probably try to send in a related DC thing. If you send me a note and say, "Hey, send me something really wild," I'll send you something wild. I got some fun stuff. So.
Oh, you must be out of those damn keys.
Oh, no, that's a given. Those are a given.
God damn it.
I can't wait till Salvation Army jingle season again. I'll just drop them in the bucket.
Oh. I'm going to have to barricade the house like it's a damn zombie invasion.
Got enough Omnibuy. You should be plenty safe.
I'll just stack them up in front of the door. Well, after Joe's gone through the eBays, we get to my favorite part of the show. No, not where we talk about Hope Marie Carlton's cute little behind.
Ooh. To the Googles.
Freaking a geekin'. Joe, what are you freaking on? I
have no freaking. Things are actually...
Really?
I had to stop and think about this, and, the only thing really annoying me is... just occasionally on my Facebook page, I get people that come on and they just like to just blast me, call me names and shit, which is really weird because in my mind, and I might be wrong, if I come onto your Facebook page, the last thing I'm going to do is insult you. I'll do that on my Facebook page and link it. But, I don't know what it is, and I don't want to get into it too much. It could be, well, yeah, you don't know me, or you think I'm just a goofy liberal, whatever. But, I had one guy, he come on and he gave me all the classical, you're a snowflake, why don't you move to a different country? And I'm like, who is this guy and why is he insulting me? And then I find out he's friends because I was friends with him because on a game I'm playing, you get certain bonuses when you post, hey, look, I did this in the game. And then when you click on their link, you get another bonus. So it's almost a perfect social type game. You post what you did so other people can get things, and then you go to their page and hit their links, and you get all these fun stuff, and it continues the game. The game's called Train Station, by the way. If you are a Train Station player, drop me a line. But don't come on my Facebook page and insult me. Needless to say, Yabo here decided, when I finally figured out who it was, he just unfriended me. And
I think it's also because we kind of smacked him around a bit.
Well,
it reminded me when my son was in high school, and he would have a conservative friend. He would invite the conservative friend over and not tell either me or the conservative friend what he was doing, and then set up for me to tear said conservative friend's worldview completely apart.
Yeah. And then the best part...
and he would just sit back and laugh.
The best part about this Yabo was that, he did the equivalent of a teenager stomping across the room yelling, I hate you, and slamming the door by leaving one final insult and then defriending, which means any response I give he won't see or anybody else gives. And I do have to laugh because the last couple days when I don't call them intelligent conservatives because they just argue the first thing out of their mouth, well, you're just a snowflake. And I'm like, well, yeah, you would know it. You've been a snowflake for the last 8 years. I think you'd be able to spot one if you could. But, it's like my liberal friends have just like, you know what? Yeah, the snowflakes are here, and you could just get buried by an avalanche, buddy. So, and again, that's not what I'm there on Facebook for. I'm there to have fun, and, if I'm going to troll you, hey, baby, I got better ways of trolling you than, inviting you to come over and take a look at my 55-gallon, barrel of lube. So I guess I did have a freaking. Corey, what are you freaking on?
I got a jury duty notice.
Ooh, I did jury duty once.
I had a jury duty notice back in the 90s, and I remember I was actually excited because I wanted to do it. I didn't much care for my full-time job, and it's like, hey, they're going to pay me. My full-time job will pay me, and I get $50 a day, and I just kind of sit around and wait to be on a jury. Cool. But then when they pulled us in and interviewed, they said they can strike 3 people out of this group. It was a group of 12. And they started asking questions. They asked, have you ever been let go from a job? And they asked me, and yes, I have been let go from a job, and they asked the details, and I said, well, the person who owned the company, her son got kicked out of college, and I was last in, so I was the first out, so that he had a job. We're striking him. Aww. But now that I'm at the new job, the good thing is you call in at 11:30, and they let you know if you'll be needed. But still, they got the jury duty thing, and it's here in Chaska, so it's not going to be, a big case. It's,
As long as we're sharing jury duty. I had one jury duty once, and, TSA has this thing where they cover your jury duty, and then, I guess the government does, and then when you get the check, which is usually, like $7 a day, you just sign the check back for them. And, I showed up. I sat down, I had my big bag full of comic books and stuff, and I got called in right away.
Oh!
And it was interesting because as we sat down, there was a guy who, one guy who was like not the prosecutor, the defense attorney was asking, if, you had a story between, a person and a cop, who would you believe? Well, the cop. what do you mean you believe the cop? Yep, absolutely. So you don't think a cop would like? Nope. So and this guy was an older guy. He was probably in his 70s or something. They went and they came back and they thanked him for his service and he got to leave. And
he planned that, right?
I don't think he did because he was pretty serious. And when they went into the other room and talked with him, obviously they, I think they kind of get. That would be my guess that they'd be like, you can't be faking this to get out. And he goes, no, I honestly believe it. Whatever. So. The second day we came back, we got put into another courtroom. 3 hours later, the judge came in and said they settled. And we're like, well, what happened? I said, well, a lot of people, they get brave. They think, yeah, I'm going to do a jury of my peers. And then when they sit down and they see the peers, they start thinking, I better settle.
Yeah.
And then we were able to talk to the judge about different things. And she was pretty cool because, a lot of us, this was like the first time we'd ever been in one of these things. So it was kind of fun. And then the next day they just told us we didn't have to come in because it was the weekend. And, they're like, you probably won't get a case on the weekend. Usually you're gone by Thursday, Friday because they don't want to start something. And then, we're going to start and then boom, weekend and you got to wait. Who knows? I could have been sequestered for years on end. Not able to do this here podcast, finally free from the O.J. Simpson type case, and I come back only to find out Corey struck it rich, found a better person to podcast with. So if I get it again, I'm just going to have to say, nope, can't do it.
What are you munching on?
Oh, I'm attempting to open a lifesaver. I figured I'd suck on it while you, since I've kind of hijacked your freaking...
The next freaking I have a bag here of Coca-Cola bottle tops that I was not able to enter into the Coca-Cola website before they ended the Coke Rewards program.
Well, there goes mine.
So, I don't even want to know how many, because they only allowed you to put in like 100 points a week. I have a bag here of bottle caps that now it's just.
I used to when I got the cases, I'd peel the cases off.
Yeah.
When I was in the on the road. Whenever they'd fill the Coke machine at one of the small airports, I would say, "Give me the boxes," because I would rip the boxes off. I won't tell you the amount of times I chased into garbage cans bottle tops. And it sucked, too, because the first prize they had was like a Wurlitzer jukebox. And we figured it out, you had to buy like $10,000 worth of Coke product. The damn machine only ran $6,000.
Well, yeah, that's how it works. But I got a lot of cool stuff. I got a fitness tracker. I got subscriptions to magazines. Mm-hmm. I got electronics. I got an MP3 player. So over the years, it was very, very good to me. Coke was very,
very good to me.
I finally got caught up on Uncanny X-Men. Remember, I read the first issue of Uncanny X-Men and said, oh, this is interesting. It's kind of the reformed villains of the X-Men. I'm now caught up on it, and I'm not a big fan of Greg Land's art because it's very painfully easy to tell where he is getting his poses and faces from.
Penthouse?
No, not anymore. There for a while he was taking them from porn, but now it's very clear he's taking them from like fashion magazines and stuff. But yeah, that story's just a goddamn mess. Just a goddamn mess. And in the whole resurrection thing they're doing at Marvel, it's going away, and all I can think is, oh good, I'm probably not going to finish that story because it just didn't work at all. And then finally, I was looking over my order and looking over the trade paperbacks and everything, and for all of our excitement about DC Rebirth, didn't pull me back in. I like the Tom King Batman. I'm going to read up on Justice League, but DC has lost me, and it's kind of weird because there for the longest time I was really into DC. But the New 52 kind of knocked me out because it was, all those stories that we've been building forever and thought were really cool, they're gone. And then DC Rebirth, we're going to do this and that and the other, but it didn't bring me back in, so And I'm hearing from a lot of people who, were big DC fans who are like, yeah, I buy Image books now, or I buy IDW books now, or, I'm buying more trades now. But, and even looking at the sales charts, the Justice League of America Rebirth came in at number 9. Not even, didn't break 100,000. So I think the bloom is off the Rebirth rose as well. So those are my freakings. Joe, what are you geeking on?
Well, health-wise, my back's been all effed up last couple of weeks, which is good for us because I was able to read a lot of comic books and graphic novels and stuff. But on the plus side, they lifted the restriction enough to 40 pounds, which allows me to kind of go back to work, and I'll be able to lift everything except like golf bags and like those toolboxes that come rumbling down the belt. So I won't be reading as much. Fortunately, I did get to read some stuff. I actually took a turn and picked up a Star Trek Next Generation, the Light Fantastic paperback. I haven't read a Star Trek paperback in so long. I picked this one up off the eBays, just when cheap. It's actually a used library book through a place called Thrift Books, and they usually buy these books and just, they still got the library markings on them and withdrawn. It's pretty beat. It's pretty worn and used, but I enjoyed it. Again, it was Star Trek Next Generation, The Light Fantastic by Jeffrey Lang. Story is Commander Data, who, what do I want to cover? I don't want to get, well, he's back after dying in the movie. 4 years later, his creator sacrificed his life, resurrected his android son, who turned around and resurrected his artificial daughter, Val. And then he resigned his commission. But somebody, Corey, did you ever watch Star Trek Next Generation?
Loved it.
Do you remember holograph master criminal Professor James Moriarty?
Yes.
Well, he comes back. And
cool.
He's not happy because he has not been out in a while. They basically trapped him in this cube where he was going to be able to live. But in between the Enterprise crashing and Generations and the Borg attack that was part of a big storyline in the novels, that little world he was in kind of got destroyed. And so he's out, and he decides he's going to manipulate Data into finding another android body for himself. And even if it means using Data's body. So, and I'm just reading this off the back of the book, but this thing's got some really, really cool twists in it in terms of, reaching back into Star Trek lore. And they're just doing fun things with the book. It almost makes me wish they would do that with the new Star Trek Discovery coming up. Just have it take place, 25 years from the end of Generation or Next Generation, and just deal with the new characters. You got all these great concepts, revisit old ones. For some reason, they always want to reinvent the wheel with Star Trek TV shows. Never go back and ask us the questions like, well, Data was an android. What about the other dozen androids that they ran into in the original series, or all these other things, you could cover with. But in the books, they do have some fun with it. So now, Thrift Books accidentally sent me 2 copies. If any of you are interested in, well, you've heard me say it. Just drop me an email. I'll send one to you. I'll send you the one I read. I usually don't go back and reread these. I also picked up, just for the heck of it, Missions of Love #1. This is a manga through Kodansha Comics. And essentially, it's a story about a cell phone novelist. And again, I don't speak Japanese, so I'm just going to slaughter the name as I want to do. Yukina Humuro. And she has decided that in order to satisfy her fans' demand for love stories, she must experience romance firsthand. But with her icy reputation, how can she find someone willing to play the part of a boyfriend? Why, by blackmailing the most popular boy in school, of course. I saw the 13th issue in this month's previews, or maybe it was last month's. And, I'm like, I'm not going to go buy all of these, but I would like to try it. And again, Thrift Books came through on eBay. They had a copy. It was cheap. Allowed me to read it. And I think I'm going to go pick up the other ones because it was actually kind of an entertainment read. Although I think maybe Holly might, like it a little bit more than I might. But so I also read, we talked about in the past, Love is Love, a comic book anthology to benefit the survivors of the Orlando Pulse shooting. The retailer in me is kind of like, the benefit part has already been done. If your local retailer has it on the shelf, that means money has already gone to these people. You are showing your support by buying it from the retailer. And it's about these benefit stories. Some tug at the heart, some are funny, some are just very thought-provoking illustrations, but definitely worth picking up. And that's pretty much it. Like I said, I'm going back to work, and I probably won't have a lot of reading time, but, there's always going to be something coming up. Corey, what you geeking on? What's got you going?
Believe it or not, kids, they've been able to keep some overnight staff.
Ooh.
So I have been sleeping in my own bed for pretty much the last week or so, except on the weekends. Friday and Saturday nights, they're still shorthanded, so I'm sleeping at the group home on Friday and Saturday nights. So I'm still making some money that way. But, sleeping in my own bed. The first night it was kind of weird because it was like, I need more noise and I need people walking around and I need to be up against the wall because I'm used to sleeping on a couch where I kind of jam myself into the back of the couch. But for the rest of this month, it looks like I'm really only going to be away on weekends. So kind of shocked about that. They did try to get me to work the entire day and evening of WrestleMania, and I said no.
No.
I still haven't watched last year's WrestleMania.
I can get your copy of it for $100.
I can get a copy of it by the WWE Network by just clicking a button. TV-wise, I finally on Netflix finished all the back episodes of Archer, so I am now caught up on Archer. And I have settled on my next series I missed when it was on, but heard wonderful things about, and that is Scrubs. I did not watch Scrubs. I heard good things about it. I've watched the first 4 episodes, and I really like it. It's fun. It plays with the format, which is what I like in a sitcom now. It's about doctors during their internship, and the main character, it does the thing where we see what's going on in his head. He's narrating the story, and if he has a fantasy about something happening, we actually see it. So there's a lot of breaking the fourth wall humor, which I also enjoy. And I've never seen it. I think it's very well done. And 9 seasons it lasted. So that'll keep me busy for, I don't know, the rest of my life. Comic-wise, I have more omnibuses.
Omnibuy.
There's only one more omnibus that I need to pick up from the Great Marvel Dump, and that is the first Star Wars omnibus, the first Marvel Star Wars omnibus. And I see it on eBay's for $40, and I also know that one of the local shops is selling it for $40. So I'm going to see if I can get it from the local shop, and if I don't get there in time or they're sold out, I'll just order it off eBay for $40 and have it show up at the door. But yeah, all 107 issues of Marvel's Star Wars in omnibuses. Joe, did you pick up the Marvel omnibuses for Star Wars?
I haven't, only because I had the classic Star Wars reprints from Dark Horse.
The third omnibus has stuff that has not been reprinted in the U.S. before, including some Alan Moore Star Wars stories. I did not know Alan Moore did some Star Wars stories, but I guess he did them for the British Star Wars Weekly. So they reprint the Marvel Star Wars Weekly episodes that were never reprinted in the U.S., as well as the Star Wars strip from Pizzazz. Did you read Pizzazz when you were a kid, Joe?
No, I was more of a cracked man myself.
Pizzazz was Marvel's knockoff of the magazine Dynamite, which was actually the magazine that got Jeanette Kahn her job at DC.
Ooh.
Because she was the editor of Dynamite for Scholastic. And when DC was casting about for a new publisher, they were looking for someone who'd worked in children's magazines but had not worked in comics because they wanted to kind of bring in new blood. And she had taken this magazine for, kids age 8 to 12 and made it a big success. So DC said, we're bringing you in. And Marvel, of course, there was never a time when Marvel saw something that was successful that they didn't want to knock off and do. God damn it, that's a Martin Goodman way. So they had their own version called Pizzazz.
Pizzazz.
I got caught up on the series Silk, which is a spin-off of Spider-Man. It's a character who was bitten by the same spider as Peter Parker, but then was locked away in a bunker for 10 years. And she was introduced in the, it was kind of it was introduced during Original Sin. And then she was used extensively in Spider-Verse. And even as I read it, when she first came out, because her and Peter Parker were intertwined with the spider powers, they couldn't keep their hands off each other. Which I thought was very interesting, and they seemed to get along really well. And then, she's getting her own series, so they don't like each other anymore. And they never explained it.
Wait, whoa.
But
Did Peter Parker clean her room or something?
Oh, God.
Doing the dishes, I could do it.
That's probably what it was.
It had to have been. It must have been off panel.
Yeah, he must have cleaned the bathroom and done the laundry as he'd been asked to do, and then the person who asked and then Silk forgot that she'd kind of half-assed.
That works for me. Hey, Marvel, we need a no prize for this one.
Yeah, what probably happened was she asked him to clean the apartment, and he said, do you want me to do this? She went, whatever, I don't know, I don't know, whatever. And then when he did it, she was like, that's it, get out.
That can't be it.
Well, I hear that's...
No, I think you've gone too far on that one, yeah. No, definitely not,
But the series... The series is definitely plays with the Marvel Universe. J. Jonah Jameson's in a lot of it. And the lead character, they work a lot with the fact that she was out of society for 10 years. Not as in-depth as I would like, because I like the whole idea of someone who's in society who's very fish out of water. But it's a good superhero series. I'm really enjoying it, and I'm glad I caught up on it. And then the last thing that I am geeking on, by the time this comes out, it would have been a week ago, but yesterday was Al Jaffe's 95th birthday. Al Jaffe, who started in comics way back in the 40s, did humor stuff at Timely and Atlas, has done comic strips, but he is mostly known for his work at Mad, and will probably go down in history for the fold-in back covers that he still does to this day. And there have been a number of articles in different newspapers and stuff talking about his technique. And when I was a kid, the Mad fold-in, that's kind of cool. But as I got older, I realized just how intricate and complex a drawing that would have to be. And he does one of those every other month now. For the longest time, Mad came out 8 times a year, so he did 8 of them a year. And now he's still 95, and he still does 6 a year. And I was reading all these different artists talking about him, and how they would visit him, and he would teach art and things like that. But one of the things that an artist pointed out that I hadn't even thought of, one of the things on his art table is a blow dryer. Joe, why would an artist have a blow dryer?
My guess would be if he's using inks just to dry things off before he ships them, or so he doesn't smear it.
It's more because he's running so late on deadline. He needs to dry those inks fast so he can get it in the mail and get it to Mad, because he's usually right up against the deadline. Guy's 95 and he's still meeting his deadlines.
So what you're saying, there's hope for Battle Chaser number 5.
Let's not get crazy now, shall we? I'm still waiting on the J. Scott Campbell Spider-Man series that was promised to us, 7 years ago now?
Or was it Barry Windsor Smith, Date with Superman?
Oh, there's that. Or, we're never going to get Redeemer because Joe Kubert passed away.
Well, what was the last one that continuity big crossover? We never got the last page. Every issue was bagged. And that.
Rise of Magic. No. Death Something 2000.
Yeah, we're still waiting for that.
I'm still waiting for the Thriller. DC said that they were going to do a Thriller graphic novel back in the 90s. Well, no, the writer said they were going to do that, and DC kind of said, well, you're announcing things way too soon. You know that, don't you? Well, believe it or not, kids, you've listened to us blather on about funny books for an hour and a half.
Thank you.
And I just want to say that the comic we like the least, we still like better than the comic that you like the most. Joe?
What should you do if your girlfriend starts smoking? Slow down and use a lubricant.
We got 55 gallons of it.
Woohoo!
I was going to say to throw some water on her because she's probably on fire. You know, there was one time a woman asked me if I smoked after sex, and I said, I don't know, never looked.
That was the cleanest of the lube jokes I could find.
Well, I have a joke that seems dirty, but it's not. So I'll end with a joke, Joe.
Oh.
It's about another guy who's turning 95 years old. Guy's about to turn 95. And his friends decide they're all going to chip in. They're going to get him something special. They're going to get him a lady of the evening. They're going to get him an escort. They're going to get him a hooker. So they pool their money together and they hire the hooker. And on his 95th birthday, she comes to the door, knocks on the door. And the man comes to the door and he opens it and says, hello. And the woman says, I'm here to give you super sex. The man thinks for a minute and says, I'll have the soup. Hit my music.